There is no hospital for 100,000 years in any direction. No doctor, no clean steel, no painkillers, no lights, no machine to listen to the heartbeat, no one who has read a single word about how a body works. Because writing will not exist for almost all of this story. And yet, somewhere on the open grassland, in the dark, a woman is about to do the single most dangerous thing a human being has ever routinely done. She is about to give birth. If she dies tonight, her line ends. If the child dies, the same. Every single one of your ancestors, every last one, without exception, is a birth that went right, in a world with nothing we would call medicine. So how did they do it? How did the most difficult birth in the entire animal kingdom happen, over and over, in the wild? And how did we survive it? The answer isn't luck. It's one of the oldest, quietest kinds of teamwork our species ever invented. To understand what she was up against, you have to understand something strange about your own body. And here is where it gets strange. Human birth is the most dangerous birth of any animal on Earth. And it is dangerous for a reason that has nothing to do with bad luck. It is the price of the two things that made you human, colliding inside one mother's body. Stay with me, because by the end, you will understand why you were born needing other people from your very first breath. Human birth is not normal, not compared to the rest of nature. A gazelle is standing within minutes of being born. A monkey mother gives birth alone, quietly, often in the trees, and lifts her newborn straight to her chest. For most animals, birth is fast, private, and relatively safe. For humans, it is slow, painful, and dangerous. And the reason is written into the way you stand. Millions of years ago, our ancestors did something that changed everything. They stood up and began to walk on two legs. It freed the hands. It let us travel, carry, hunt, throw. But it came at a hidden cost. To walk upright, the hips and the birth canal had to become narrower, a tight, twisting ring of bone. At the same time, our line was growing the largest, most powerful brain of any creature on Earth. And a big brain needs a big head. Hold those two facts side by side, the narrow hips and the growing head. They are about to collide inside one body. And that collision will force our species to invent something no other animal has ever needed. So evolution set up a collision. A baby with a large head, a mother with a narrow, upright pelvis. Scientists call it the obstetrical dilemma, the head that must pass through an opening that has almost no room to spare. In many births, the fit is so tight that the baby cannot come straight through. It has to turn, rotating deep inside the birth canal to thread its way out. And here is the detail that changes the whole story. In monkeys, the baby is born facing the mother, so she can reach down, guide it out, and lift it to her herself. In humans, because of that rotation, the baby is usually born facing away from the mother. She cannot easily see it, cannot easily reach it, cannot safely pull it free without risking the child. For the first time in the natural world, a mother giving birth truly needed another pair of hands. And that is the real answer to how they did it. Not with tools, not with medicine, with each other. Many scientists believe that this is one of the oldest reasons our ancestors learned to help one another so deeply. A monkey can give birth alone. A human, far more often, cannot. Not safely. The very shape of our bodies pushed us, hundreds of thousands of years ago, toward something remarkable. Birth, became a thing we did together. Picture it, not as an emergency, but as it truly was, a gathering. Around the woman in labor are others who have done this before. Older women, sisters, her own mother, if she is still alive. Women who have knelt in this exact place a dozen times for a dozen other mothers. And here is the part that should not be possible. No books, no writing, no medicine of any kind. Yet what this circle of women carries in living memory will take modern science 100,000 years to prove right. They are not doctors, but they are something that, for almost all of human history, mattered just as much. They are experienced. They know what a normal labor looks like and what a dangerous one looks like. They know when to wait and when to worry. They know how to hold, how to steady, how to catch. That knowledge was not written down, it was carried in living memory and handed from woman to woman, mother to daughter, across thousands of years. This is something the modern world almost forgot and is only now remembering. Birth was never meant to be a lonely act. It was one of the most social moments in the life of the group. The word we use today for the woman who assists, the midwife, simply means with woman. And with woman may be one of the oldest jobs our species ever had. There was another quiet advantage in that circle. Fear and tension can make a hard labor harder. A frightened, isolated mother struggles more than a calm, supported one. Those familiar voices, those steady hands, the simple fact of not being alone in the dark. That was, in its own way, a kind of medicine too. So what did they actually know? More than you might think. Start with something as simple as position. Lie flat on your back, and you are working against gravity, and pressing on the very blood vessels that feed the baby. Our ancestors did not give birth lying down. They gave birth upright, squatting, kneeling, crouching, sometimes holding on to another person or a low branch, letting the weight of the world help pull the child down and open the way. This wasn't a guess. It was watched and repeated and passed on because it worked. And here is the striking part. Modern medicine spent a long time putting mothers flat on their backs, and is now, slowly, admitting that those upright positions our ancestors used for 100,000 years were right all along. They knew the land too. Across the world, traditional cultures carried deep libraries of plant knowledge. Leaves and barks and roots used to ease pain, to calm, to slow bleeding, to help the body recover. Not all of it worked. Some of it was dangerous. But some of it held real medicine, discovered the hard way, over countless lifetimes of trial and memory, long before any laboratory could explain why. What comes next sounds almost too small to matter. A cord, a few unhurried minutes, a mother's chest. Hospitals spent decades getting it wrong. Our ancestors never did. And then there were the instincts that needed no teaching at all. When a baby is born, it is still joined to its mother by the cord, which keeps giving it blood and oxygen for minutes after birth. For a long time, modern hospitals rushed to cut it immediately. Today, the science has turned around completely. We now know that waiting, letting that last flow of blood reach the baby, gives the child a measurably better start. Our ancestors, with no science at all, simply had no reason to rush. Nature was already doing the right thing. The newborn was lifted skin to skin, kept warm against the mother's body, and fed within the hour. Exactly the things a modern maternity ward now works hard to protect. So much of what we call new was in truth remembered. But we have to be honest about the other side of this story, because knowledge and kindness were not always enough. For most of human history, birth was the most dangerous day in a woman's life, and the most dangerous day in yours. Many mothers died. Many babies did not survive their first breath or their first month. When a labor went wrong, when the baby was turned the wrong way, when the bleeding would not stop, there was often nothing that even the wisest woman in the group could do but hold on and hope. This is not a sad footnote. It is the engine of the whole story, because in a world that harsh, nature was quietly selecting. Selecting for what? Not just stronger bodies. Nature was about to reward something you would never expect evolution to care about: kindness. And that choice is the reason you exist. A mother born with a slightly wider birth canal was more likely to survive, and to have daughters who survived. A group that gathered around its mothers, that protected them, that carried the knowledge carefully from one generation to the next. That group raised more children to adulthood than a group that left its mothers to face it alone. So both things were being shaped at once: the body and the behavior, the shape of the human pelvis and the human instinct to help. Compassion here was not a luxury. It was survival strategy. The communities that cared lived. Over enough time, that care became part of who we are. Every one of us is descended from an unbroken chain of women who made it through, and from the hands that were there to help them. That is not a small inheritance. That is the reason you exist. And that inheritance is not just history. You can see it in a hospital today. For a while, the modern world tried to make birth a purely medical event. Bright, fast, efficient, the mother often alone with strangers, and something felt wrong about it. So slowly, we have been circling back to what our ancestors knew. The rise of the doula, a person whose only job is to stay beside the mother, to reassure her, to never leave, is, in a way, the return of that ancient circle of women. The return to upright birth, the waiting to cut the cord, the skin to skin, the keeping close. Step by step, modern medicine keeps rediscovering the wisdom of the campfire. The old saying is that it takes a village to raise a child. What our ancestors knew is that it takes a village even before that, to safely bring the child into the world at all. Birth was never a solitary act of nature. It was the first great act of human cooperation. The moment our species decided that no one should have to face the hardest thing alone. So the next time you hear that human birth is dangerous or difficult, or that we are somehow badly designed for it, remember what that difficulty actually built. It built the midwife. It built the circle of women in the dark. It built the deep, patient knowledge passed from mother to daughter for 100,000 years. It built the instinct, still burning in us today, to gather around the ones we love at their most vulnerable, and to stay. You were not born because birth was easy. You were born because, long before medicine, human beings refused to let each other face it alone. This is one of the oldest stories we carry, the story of how we began and how we cared for each other from the very first breath. Sit down at the oldest campfire on Earth and follow along. This is Emberkind,